Travis Wayne Goodsell. I'm getting lots of new people commenting, and a common thread is that many people believe the church is progressive. If I didn't know that the church was pure evil, it would be laughable. I have had several Christians who have commented. I even had a female minister subscribe, and they're not watching enough of my channel yet. Just because I criticize the church for being evil and criminal, don't get me wrong. You need to understand, I have to expose Christianity in exposing the church. Brigham Young made that the issue, because Brigham Young used Christianity to replace Joseph Smith's religion. The Joseph Smith Papers exposes this, as Jesus Christ was inserted into Joseph Smith's documents. And it created confusion, because Joseph Smith was using Jesus Christ as a code to replace the name of his Christ, Emmanuel. This is part of Brigham Young's trap that I did the video of the other day. See, the Jews had lost the understanding of the hidden name of the Christ, which is Emmanuel. He's the Egyptian sun god at noonday, and he has the hidden name. And if you obtain his name, you get his power. And so there are Egyptian stories that talk about this. And so the Jews have the practice of not writing the name Adonai. It is not a title for Lord. It's from the Egyptian word, directly phonetically transliterated as Aten. Akhenaten. The Akhenaten, his capital, and it is the sun disk of the Egyptians, which was used by Akhenaten. And so I went over in a video the other day, Amos 3:7. Surely the Lord God will do nothing, save he shall revealeth his secrets unto his servants the prophets. Well, Lord is Adonai. God is Yahweh. It's the Aten of Yahweh. And the Jews are unwilling to research it, to know of its true meaning from the Egyptians, because of the manner in which the Bible, their Tanakh, Torah, was written, that they were slaves in Egypt. And instead they embraced their Babylonian captors. But yeah, scriptures lead them to believe that they came from Ur of Babylon in origin. And that's not the case, because Ur of Babylon didn't exist until just prior to their coming over into the Canaanite area and taking them hostage back into Ur of Babylon. It was pretty quick. Once Babylon established their capital in Ur, they did a military campaign to acquire all the Assyrian tributary lands to render tribute to them, letting everybody know, hey, new landlord in town, give tribute to us now. That's what they did. And so when Zedekiah was put on the throne, that's what they were doing, is saying, hey, we're going to make sure we get the tribute now. And, well, Zedekiah was bad. And so they came back 11 years later and destroyed it and took people hostage back into Ur of Babylon. And so the Jews are pulling an anachronism when they believe that they existed prior to in Ur of Babylon. They're unwilling to accept the fact that they came from Egypt, that David and Moses are from the 18th dynasty pharaoh names, the David Moseses. And so I'm straying off of progressive but I'm losing my train of thought as a result. I don't script, as you notice. I just speak off the top of my head. And so Christians need to understand their history. They need to accept it. They need to understand what it means. Roman Emperor Constantine created Christianity and Jesus. I have no problems if Constantine instead said, hey, guys, bishops, I like the stories of this Jesus character in this Jewish literature. Let's form an organization and we'll call it Christianity, and we'll preach the messages of this Christ talked about in the Jewish scriptures. Would have no problem. Similarly with the church. If Brigham Young had not intended to join the church to overthrow the church, destroy it, and start all over with Christian Joseph Smith, if he just said, nope, not interested in becoming a Jewish Mormon, thanks guys, I have no interest in your Book of Mormon, the Jewish learning Book of Mormon, and then formed his own Christian church, and then I somehow became a descendant through Brigham Young's Christian church and was born and raised in Brigham Young's Christian church to believe in Jesus as a Christian. My life would be completely different, but there would be no issue if he chose to preach the messages of the Jewish Jesus stories. But once you start saying Jesus is real, once you start saying that the Jewish scriptures are now literal history about Jesus, and that Jesus has magical powers to save me, regardless of whether it's physical or spiritual, because he doesn't exist. You're presenting to me an idol God that has no moral power, let alone physical power, to do any kind of saving, to provide any kind of peace, safety, refuge, love. It doesn't exist. Is this too complicated for everybody? Because apparently it is. Constantine has gotten away with his con for 1700 years. In 2025, we're going to have the 170th anniversary of Constantine's big con. And that's where I have a problem, is when people change things to make them not true, to make them unreal, and demand that everybody accept it as truth and reality. You are denying history. You are denying science. You are denying logic. Denying truth and reality. And you threaten me when you do this, because you are demanding, through emotional blackmail most of the time, sometimes you get violent and demand that I be silent and accept Jesus as my Christ. Or you're not going to be my friend, or you're going to unsubscribe, or you're going to burn me at the stake, or you're going to torture me, wrongfully incarcerate me, destroy my life. See, this is what Mormons do, because Joseph Smith is the learning of the Jews. The Book of Mormon is the learning of the Jews, and Mormons want nothing to do with that. And so they've destroyed my life under the orders of the church. We have the Spanish Inquisition with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I had another person who said he liked my Paleo-Hebrew, but he didn't like it that I involved Trump or polarizing topics of the day, as his wording. He was telling me to shut up. You can't be two-faced. You can't say you like some of my stuff, but others I need to shut up about. You're threatening me to be silent. But he also believed that Nelson was progressive. He understood that Lee is a Nazi, but he doesn't see Nelson as the leader of the Nazis that ordered Lee to do things that he's doing in Congress. He's not been watching my channel. When the church came out and said, "We approve of the Respect for Marriage Act," all of you apparently missed their little small print with the amendment which we put in there. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints ruined the Respect for Marriage Act with their exemption clause. And everybody missed it. That's why those GOP senators voted for it through Mitt Romney. Because the church went to Mitt Romney put our exemption clause in. Romney said, yes, sir. And he's now dating Kirsten Sinema, however she pronounces it. As I've been mocking him with those videos, as he went on a date with her at the State of the Union. His next polygamous wife. And that's the thing. Kirsten Sinema wants nothing to do with polygamy. She doesn't realize the trap of the church, of Mitt Romney's intentions. She doesn't understand that when a Mormon fellowships you, it's like a snake saying, I'm harmless, take me across the river. You knew who I was when you met me. And that's the thing, though, is that Mormons are wolves in sheep's clothing. The church has weaponized all of Mormonism. Those who believe Nelson, who believe he speaks for Jesus, are wolves, whether they realize it or not. If you've ever seen a movie or a TV show of a person who gets brainwashed and then goes and murders somebody, and then snaps out of it and goes, what have I done? Oh no, what have I become? That's the church and what they're doing to you. When the church allows women to wear slacks, to go on missions at 19, that guy is thinking that Nelson's progressive. He doesn't understand that when he made the changes in the temple to allow Eve to speak from the selections from the Book of Moses and to take away the veil, which is a misunderstanding, he actually degraded you by taking away your veil, women. I know Muslims have ruined it too, well, Islam technically. Islam is the religion, Muslim is the culture. They're the ones who believe that women are evil and tempt men to do evil. And so to prevent women from having an effect on men, they cover them up and veil them for that reason. That's not the original intention of the veil for women, anciently. But since the church doesn't care about that, yes, you should be grateful that they took away your veil, because likely Brigham Young was doing that for that purpose instead of the ancient practice to respect women, to treat them as deities. Oh yeah, it had something to do with the hidden name. See, I will remember. I don't have it written down. And so you missed the law of chastity changes. See, the church has been practicing polygamy this whole time because the church does not accept the government's marriages and divorces. You still have to be sealed in the Mormon temple for the church to accept you. And you have to get a sealing cancellation for the church to dismiss the marriage. And so when you get a government divorce, church won't recognize it. You're still sealed to your spouse, your ex. And even though she has to give approval for your next marriage for a guy, if she approves, you're now a polygamist. Just because you're not having sex and babies with the ex doesn't mean you're not a polygamist. The church is trying to thwart the government. They're still resisting the government. And it's because of Zion. They need to overthrow the government to return their Zion that they blame the government for taking away. 1887. And so you get Oaks going around saying, hey, the government's bad because they took away our religious freedom to practice polygamy and child bride marriages. And you think they're progressive? Because they lifted the veil of women? They gave Eve a bigger speaking role? They allow you to wear slacks? Did you miss the part where he excommunicated Kate Kelly? I think it wasn't it Monson? Wasn't it his reign where he excommunicated Kate Kelly? Let's find out the date of when she got excommunicated. Feminist. You're not a Mormon. You've been exed. 2014. Yeah, it was under Monson. You can't call yourself Mormon anymore, dear. See, I can still call myself Mormon because I've not been excommunicated. But once you're no longer a member, officially, you're no longer Mormon. Because what she's trying to do is claim the culture of Mormonism as her identity. And Mormons are not a culture. Nelson has done away with the culture of Mormonism. He's going full-on evangelical Christian now. Anti-Semitism. And again, you guys got fooled. In 1978, the church says, hey, we're allowing blacks to give us money so that they can go to the temple and get the priesthood. And you miss that. You miss that the church, following that conference, was able to get the government to repeal the Edmunds-Tucker Act. The government's not going through their records and saying, you know what, I think we should probably repeal this one. I don't know. Should we ask the Mormons if they want it repealed? No. The church came to them and said, we want the Edmunds-Tucker Act repealed because they want polygamy back. And so the government, being deceived by their words, not knowing their intentions, saying, hey, we're not practicing polygamy, we don't teach it, we have nothing to do with it, you might as well just repeal it. You know, like the extermination order that shouldn't have been lifted. And so people don't make the connection that the church made a deal with the government. They haven't stopped being racist. The mere fact that they were racist in the first place should let everyone know they're not the true church, because they claim their Jesus is the one true Christian church, and that all other Christian churches are wrong because Jesus talks to Nelson and the presidents of the church, not the Pope, not any cardinal or bishop or pastor. It's a different Christianity, and it's an evil one because they promote an idol god and claim that that idol god talks to them and tells them to hurt us with racism, with sexism, with bigotry, with neglect of the poor, with anti-Semitism, with ordering and rewarding assassins of those of us who whistleblow. This is not progressive. Though, yes, there is the extreme progressives who likewise are fundamentalist, extremist, like Ilhan Omar in Congress. Say, I can use her as an example because she called for the extermination of the Jews, a Holocaust. And yet she's still allowed in Congress? Oh, gee, the GOP has banned her from groups, committees. And for that reason. Well, why didn't the Democrats do that to her? So the Democrats claim to be equal to all people, to accept all people. But now you see that it's all segregation, that they allow hate within the ranks. They're okay with religious extremism as long as it's not white Christian nationalist. Because that's GOP. Islamic extremism is Democrat. Jesus extremism is GOP. And you guys don't see it. You pick and choose which side to be a part of. And you don't see that they're both conning you. Just like you don't see the con with the church. And so because the church must destroy the government, it is necessary that I expose this. I have to talk about asterisk number 45. I have to talk about the false dichotomy of pro-life versus pro-choice. I have to expose what the church is up to, because they are revealing themselves as the wolves in sheep's clothing. I see how they're going to run their kingdom once America is destroyed. And that is my warning voice. And for people to demand that I be silent, even if it's silent on certain topics, get the bleep out of here. You have been brainwashed by the system as a weapon to attack me, whether you realize it or not, whether you come off as reasonable. Oh, I really like your stuff here, but get out of here. You can't be racist, sexist, bigoted, neglectful of the poor, anti-Semitic, and a hater, and be called progressive, even though there is that on the progressive side. Just not those exact same things. But don't be fooled into thinking that the church is extremist progressive. They're extremist alt-right, pretending to be progressive. And I will not be silenced. And so the female minister who subscribed, welcome. But I hope you hear my message. I'm okay with you preaching the values of the messages from the Jewish records talking about Jesus. But don't you dare make a comment telling me that I have to accept Jesus in my life, that he will give me peace, that he will give me safety, that he is Lord and Christ. Because if you're not paying attention to my video channel, I've revealed that Joseph Smith is the founding Christ of Mormonism according to the learning of the Jews, and that the latter-day Christ will be a Mormon according to the learning of the Jews. And I've told you, I've searched for him, and I've found him. And so when people come to me and say that Jesus is my Christ, and that I should believe in Jesus, you're attacking me. You are the enemy, because you're pushing on me a false God, when I know who the true Christ is, because I've done the checklist. You haven't. Jesus, as I did the video, I think, have I not done that video where Jesus doesn't pass the checklist? Maybe I didn't. Maybe it's one of these ever-increasing piles of videos that I'm not getting to. He fails. So, looks like I gotta go running, and then I need to go to the grocery store, so this will be done after I get back. And then as you can't see, the computer has been moved, and so I need to set it up so that I can be prepared for conference tomorrow. And then the other computer, I need to set that one up to get going on the other project that this computer was working on. So I've got a busy day, and yet still have to try to maintain an audience, as it was drastically cut yesterday.